Sophia Westbrook stood at the edge of her empire. 60 stories above Manhattan, the wind whipped her blonde hair across her face as snowflakes danced around her slender figure. Below, the city sprawled like a circuit board of light and darkness, each illuminated window representing lives she would never know. She gripped the railing of her penthouse terrace, knuckles white against the cold metal. At 28, she owned half of Manhattan, commanded 5,000 employees, and controlled assets worth $2.7 billion. Yet tonight, with the snow falling silently around her, she wondered if anyone would notice if she simply disappeared. Her phone vibrated against her hip. Alexander. Again. Her uncle's name flashed on the screen like a warning. The IPO was 3 weeks away. Everything her father had built, everything he'd entrusted to her 6 months ago when his heart inexplicably stopped, hung in the balance. "Yes, Alexander," she answered, her breath crystallizing in the frigid air. "Sophia, we need to discuss the Morgan Stanley projections before tomorrow's meeting. The board is getting nervous." She closed her eyes. "I'll be in early, 7 a.m. Make it 6:30, and Sophia, don't forget who kept this company from collapsing after your father died. The board remembers." The call ended. Sophia slipped the phone back into her pocket and stared out at the snow-shrouded skyline. 6 months ago, her father had called, urgent and insistent. "Sophie, I've found something disturbing in the quarterly audit. We need to meet tonight." "Tomorrow morning, Dad," she'd replied, deep in negotiations with Japanese investors. "First thing, I promise." But by morning, William Westbrook was gone. Heart attack, they said. Natural causes. The man who swam 2 miles every day and could outpace executives half his age. Sophia turned away from the edge, from the 60-story drop that sometimes whispered to her in moments of weakness. Inside her penthouse, crystal glasses and modern art gleamed under recessed lighting. She poured herself 3 fingers of her father's favorite scotch, lifting it toward the last photograph they'd taken together. "I'm sorry I wasn't there, Dad," she whispered to the empty room. Across the East River in Queens, Ethan Reed's apartment building elevator was broken again. He climbed 5 flights of stairs, muscles aching after 12 hours behind the wheel. His phone showed 3 missed calls from Emma's after-school program. He was late. Again. The door to apartment 5C creaked open to reveal Mrs. Patel, their elderly neighbor, sitting with Emma at the kitchen table. "Daddy!" 8-year-old Emma launched herself across the room, colliding with his legs. Her dark ponytail had come undone, wisps of hair escaping in every direction. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Patel," Ethan began, but the old woman waved away his apologies. "Emma finished her homework and helped me with my crossword. She's quite the little scientist, your daughter. She knew what osmosis meant." After Mrs. Patel left, Ethan heated leftover pasta while Emma set the table for 2. The apartment was small but warm, Emma's artwork covering the refrigerator, bookshelves overflowing with library books, and exactly 3 photographs of Emma's mother, Rachel, who'd lost her battle with cancer 3 years ago. "Madison said her mom doesn't want her to come over anymore," Emma said quietly, pushing pasta around her plate. "She said you were in jail, and that means you're a bad person." The words hit Ethan like a physical blow. 9 years in Ossining Correctional for a crime born of desperation, trying to expose pharmaceutical research that would have saved Rachel, only to be framed for theft when a security guard had a fatal heart attack during the incident. He started, choosing his words carefully. "I did go to jail. I made a mistake trying to help your mom when she got sick. I took something that wasn't mine, and someone got hurt." "Are you a bad person?" Her eyes, Rachel's eyes, stared up at him, unblinking. Ethan knelt beside her chair. "I try every day to be a good person, to make choices I can be proud of." "That's all any of us can do." Emma nodded solemnly. I told Madison her mom was wrong. You're the best dad. Later, while helping Emma with her science project, Ethan explained chemical reactions with an expertise that made her eyes widen. How come you know so much, Daddy? His smile didn't quite reach his eyes. I used to be a chemical engineer before. Before jail? Before everything changed. The snowstorm intensified as midnight approached. Ethan accepted one final rideshare request, a passenger heading to LaGuardia, just enough fare to cover Emma's school lunch for the week. His windshield wiper struggled against the heavy flakes as he navigated the Queensboro Bridge. Through his rear-view mirror, headlights appeared, moving too fast for the icy conditions. A black limousine followed by a delivery truck, both vehicles weaving dangerously. Ethan's hands tightened on the wheel. It happened in heartbeats. The truck fishtailed, overcorrected, and slammed into the limousine's rear quarter panel. The sound of impact cut through the night like thunder. The limousine spun, once, twice, metal screaming against the guardrail before plunging through, disappearing over the edge. Ethan's foot hit the brake. Around him, car doors opened. People emerged with phones raised, recording instead of helping. The limousine's headlights created an eerie glow beneath the river's surface, already dimming as the vehicle sank. His mind raced. Emma waiting at Mrs. Patel's. The water, 35 degrees and dropping. Anyone trapped inside had minutes before hypothermia claimed them. 12 years ago, he'd tried to be a hero. It ended with a man dead and 9 years of his life gone. He could drive away. No one would blame him. But Emma's voice echoed in his mind. I told Madison her mom was wrong. You're the best dad. Ethan kicked off his shoes, dropped his phone on the driver's seat, and ran for the guardrail. The impact with the water felt like 1,000 knives piercing his skin simultaneously. The cold stole his breath, his thoughts, nearly his consciousness. Through murky darkness, he forced his eyes open, kicking toward the sinking limousine. The driver slumped against the steering wheel, motionless, blood clouding the water around his head. In the back seat, a woman in a cream-colored dress floated like a ghost, blonde hair creating a halo around her face. Unconscious, but the slight movement of her dress suggested life. Ethan yanked at the door handle, muscles screaming against the water pressure. When it finally gave way, he grabbed the woman's arm and kicked toward the surface, lungs burning, vision narrowing to a pinpoint of light above. They broke the surface with a desperate gasp. Hands reached down from the embankment, pulling them onto concrete. Ethan collapsed beside the woman, his body convulsing with violent shivers. She wasn't breathing. Training from a prison first aid class kicked in. Ethan rolled her onto her side, water streaming from her mouth and nose. 30 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. He pressed his mouth to hers, tasting river water and something expensive. Around them, camera flashes popped like lightning. Come on, he whispered between compressions. Come on, come on, come on. On the 43rd compression, her eyes flew open, the palest blue like winter sky reflected on ice. She gasped, coughed violently, her hand clutching his wrist with surprising strength. For a suspended moment, they existed in perfect understanding, her life tethered to his actions. Then she turned, vomiting river water onto the concrete, and the spell broke. Paramedics swarmed in, wrapping thermal blankets around her shoulders. As they loaded her onto a stretcher, her eyes found his again, a wordless question in their depths. The ambulance doors closed. Ethan stood shivering in a cheap emergency blanket, suddenly aware that his life had irrevocably changed, though he couldn't yet understand how. Emma was the last child at after-school care, her small frame hunched over a book, backpack clutched protectively in her lap. When she saw Ethan, still damp and shivering, her face crumpled. You promised, Dad, she whispered in the car. I know, Em. There was an accident. I had to help. Ms. Wilson says they'll have to call child services if you're late again. The words hung between them like a guillotine. Child services meant foster care. Foster care meant Emma alone in the system, branded as the daughter of an ex-con. At home, while Emma slept, Ethan's phone buzzed incessantly. Unknown numbers. Media requests. His mugshot from 12 years ago juxtaposed against a photo of him soaking wet on the bridge, next to headlines, Ex-con saves billionaire heiress in dramatic river rescue. The woman was Sophia Westbrook, sole heir to Westbrook Enterprises. The article detailed Ethan's conviction, the robbery, the security guard's heart attack, the 9 years served. By morning, every parent at Emma's school would know. The knock came at 6 a.m. Through the peephole, Ethan saw a woman in an expensive black coat, accompanied by a man built like a refrigerator. He opened the door with the security chain still attached. "Can I help you?" The woman stepped closer. Even through the 4-inch gap, he recognized those pale blue eyes. "I came to thank you," she said, her voice cultured and controlled. "You saved my life." Sophia Westbrook stood in his dingy hallway, looking as out of place as a diamond in a coal mine. When Ethan let her in, she surveyed his apartment, the sagging couch, Emma's homework spread across the coffee table, dishes in the sink, with careful neutrality. "I wanted to give you this." She offered an envelope from her coat pocket. "I don't want your money," Ethan interrupted. One elegant eyebrow rose. "You don't even know how much it is." "Doesn't matter. I didn't pull you out of that river for a reward." Something flickered across Sophia's face. Surprise, perhaps, or confusion. "You're the first person who's ever turned down my money. The first person who's ever looked at me like I'm not a checkbook with legs." Ethan shrugged. "I looked at you like a drowning woman, that's all." Sophia's smile was small and sad. "Do you know what it's like to wake up in an ambulance and realize a stranger cared more about whether you lived or died than anyone in your actual life? The first thing my uncle said when he visited me in the hospital was that I'd ruined a $500,000 vehicle." She placed the envelope on the coffee table anyway. "Keep it, donate it, throw it away. I needed to come here and say thank you." As she turned to leave, Ethan found himself asking, "The driver, did he make it?" Sophia's expression went carefully blank. "He didn't." The words hit Ethan like a blow. He'd been so focused on the woman in the back seat that he hadn't even tried to get the driver out. "He was already gone," Sophia added quickly, seeing his face. "The impact broke his neck. There was nothing anyone could have done." But Ethan barely heard her, lost in the moment of choice. The living or the dead, the rich woman or the working-class driver. Had he chosen based on proximity, on survival chances, or on some unconscious calculation of worth? "You should go," he managed, backing away. Sophia hesitated, then left, the sound of her expensive heels echoing down the stairwell. The envelope contained a check for $50,000 and a handwritten note. "For your daughter's future. You gave me mine back. Thank you, SW." A week passed in unwanted attention. News crews, phone calls, reporters outside Emma's school. Through it all, Ethan tried to maintain normalcy, even as passengers recognized him from viral videos, and Emma reported that suddenly, everyone wanted to be her friend. Then exactly 7 days after the accident, Sophia appeared at his door again. This time alone, dressed in jeans and a cashmere sweater that looked deceptively simple. Her face was drawn, eyes darting nervously to the empty hallway. "I need your help," she said without preamble. "With what?" Sophia glanced over her shoulder, then back at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Someone is trying to kill me," she said quietly. "And I think you're the only person who can keep me alive." Ethan stared at Sophia, waiting for any sign she was joking. She wasn't. "The accident," she continued, voice low and urgent. "It wasn't an accident. The police think the truck driver hit black ice, but I saw his face before impact. He was looking right at me, aiming for me. She pulled out her phone, showing Ethan a series of photos. The truck driver's focused expression seconds before impact. Surveillance photos of her leaving her building with a red digital circle around her head, threatening messages, and a news article about her father's company with the headline marked up, "Westbrook Empire Crumbles Without Air." "You should go to the police," Ethan said. But Sophia was already shaking her head. "I did. They said there's not enough evidence to prove intent. They think I'm paranoid because of the trauma." Fear flickered in her pale blue eyes. "Someone tried to kill me once already. They're going to try again." From the hallway came the sound of small footsteps. Emma appeared in the doorway, still in her pajamas with rocket ships printed on them. She looked from her father to Sophia and back. "You're the lady from the river," she said. "The one Dad saved." Sophia's expression softened. "Yes, I'm Sophia." "Are you in trouble?" Emma asked with a child's directness. "Because my dad helps people in trouble. That's what heroes do." Ethan felt something break open in his chest. For 9 years, he'd been defined by his worst mistake. But in Emma's eyes, he was still capable of being someone's hero. "Yes," Sophia admitted. "I am in trouble." Emma nodded sagely. "Then Dad will help you." That's what he does. 3 hours later, Ethan and Emma stepped into a world they'd only seen in movies. Sophia's building rose like a glass needle into the Manhattan skyline. The lobby a symphony of marble and light. A private elevator whisked them to the 20th floor, where Sophia had arranged a security apartment. Emma stood wide-eyed in the center of the living room, taking in floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, furniture that looked too pristine to touch, and a kitchen bigger than their entire queen's apartment. "There's a library on the 5th floor," Sophia told Emma, "with a children's section." Emma's face lit up. "Can I see it?" While Mrs. Garcia, Sophia's most trusted housekeeper, took Emma to explore, Sophia led Ethan to a home office equipped with multiple monitors. "You did your research on me," Ethan said, noting the files open on the screens. His case details, employment history, education records. "I did," Sophia admitted. "Chemical engineer with a specialization in pharmaceutical development. Graduated summa cum laude from MIT. Worked for Meridian Pharmaceuticals until your arrest for attempting to steal research data. A security guard had a heart attack during the incident and died. You were sentenced to 15 years but served 9. You left out the part where the research data I tried to steal was evidence that Meridian's blockbuster drug Vascurin had lethal side effects they were covering up," Ethan said quietly. "My wife was taking it for her heart condition." Understanding dawned in Sophia's eyes. "That's why you did it." Rachel started showing symptoms they claimed weren't related. "I found files proving Meridian knew about cardiac complications in patients under 40. When I tried to copy the data as evidence, they caught me, made it look like a robbery gone wrong. Your wife died 3 years ago, while I was still inside." The words felt heavy but no longer cutting. "They released me on compassionate grounds so I could care for Emma. By then, it was too late for Rachel." Sophia's expression hardened. "I believe you, and I need your analytical skills now." She pulled up financial documents on the main screen. 3 weeks from now, Westbrook Enterprises goes public. A $5 billion IPO that my father spent years planning. But I believe someone is embezzling funds and manipulating our financials to set the company up for failure. Someone who benefits if I don't live to see that IPO. "Your uncle," Ethan said. It wasn't a question. "Alexander becomes controlling shareholder if I die. The night before my father died, he called me, insisted we meet, said he'd found something disturbing in the quarterly audit." Sophia's voice caught. "I was too busy with negotiations to meet him that night. By morning, he was gone. Heart attack, they said." Ethan studied the monitors, mind already analyzing patterns in the data. "I'll need access to all financial records for the past 2 years. And, he hesitated, I'd like to see your father's medical reports. Why? Just a hunch. You said heart attack. Was your father taking any medications? Just a mild blood pressure pill, and he drank this special tea every night. His doctor in Switzerland prescribed it. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Do you have any of that tea left? The charity gala at the Plaza Hotel glittered with New York's elite. Ethan stood uncomfortable in a rented tuxedo, watching Sophia work the room. She moved with practiced grace, her red gown catching the light, her smile never reaching her eyes. Stop fidgeting, she murmured as she passed him. You look like you're casing the place. Hard habit to break after 9 years inside, he replied under his breath. Across the room, Alexander Westbrook held court with board members. In his 50s, silver-haired and distinguished, he exuded the confidence of old money and older power. When his eyes met Ethan's, they were calculating and dismissive. That's him? Ethan asked as Sophia rejoined him, champagne flutes in hand. My father's younger brother. He's been pushing me to take a stress leave since the accident. Says the IPO is too much pressure after my trauma. Convenient. He doesn't know you're helping me. He thinks you're extra security after the bridge incident. Alexander approached, his smile tight. Sophia, darling, the Morgans were asking about you. His gaze flicked to Ethan. I don't believe we've been introduced. Ethan Reed, Ms. Westbrook's new security consultant. Alexander's handshake was brief, his interest immediately returning to Sophia. We should discuss the Kyoto numbers before Monday's meeting. The projections seem ambitious. They're my father's projections, Alexander. I stand by them. Something dangerous flashed in Alexander's eyes. Your father isn't here, my dear, and these decisions affect all of us now. He nodded curtly to Ethan before moving away. He's worried, Sophia said quietly. He doesn't know what I've found. What have you found? She touched the vintage watch on her wrist, incongruously simple against her elegant attire. My father's last gift, and maybe the key to everything. Back at Sophia's building, Ethan settled Emma into bed in the guest room that was larger than their entire apartment. She'd spent the evening with Mrs. Garcia, making cookies and exploring the building's library. Dad, she whispered as he tucked her in. Is Sophia in danger like Mom was? The question blindsided him. What do you mean? Mom was sick, and you tried to help her, but you couldn't. Is Sophia sick too? No, sweetheart. Sophia has some problems with her business. I'm just helping her sort them out. Emma's eyes, so much like Rachel's, studied his face. I like her. She doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby, and she knows about space. She helped me find books about black holes. Get some sleep, astronaut. Ethan kissed her forehead. Big day tomorrow. In Sophia's home office, lab equipment sat alongside financial documents. Ethan had insisted on testing the tea himself, using skills that had earned him respect and a reduced sentence while incarcerated. Found anything? Sophia asked, entering with 2 coffee mugs. Maybe. Ethan indicated a molecular structure on the screen. This compound isn't natural to any tea I know. It's synthetic, similar to something Meridian was researching while I worked there. A cardiac stimulant that mimics heart attack symptoms. Sophia paled. You think, Alexander? I think we need more proof. But yes, this could induce cardiac arrest in someone with even mild hypertension. Like your father. Sophia sank into a chair. All this time, I thought I was just being paranoid. That grief was making me see conspiracies. Grief clarifies sometimes, Ethan said. Shows us what we've been missing. She looked up at him, vulnerability replacing her usual composed mask. Why are you helping me? You could have cashed my check and walked away. Maybe I'm ready to stop walking away, Ethan said simply, to face things head on again. Sophia's phone chimed with a text from Emma. Can't sleep. Can I have some milk? They found Emma in the kitchen, sitting on a counter stool in rocket ship pajamas. Sophia moved with surprising ease, warming milk in a saucepan, adding a touch of honey and cinnamon. My dad used to make this for me, she explained. When the business kept him working late, we'd meet in the kitchen at midnight, our secret tradition. Emma sipped appreciatively. Did your mom make you special things too? Sophia stilled. My mother died when I was very young. I don't remember her. My mom died too, Emma said matter-of-factly. But I remember her. She used to sing when she thought no one was listening, and she made the best pancakes with faces on them. She studied Sophia. Do you know how to make pancakes? I'm afraid not. That's okay. Dad can teach you. He makes them in animal shapes now. Ethan watched the exchange, something warm and unexpected unfurling in his chest. Emma hadn't spoken so openly about Rachel in months. Later, as Sophia walked him back to the security apartment, she said quietly, "She's extraordinary, your daughter. She gets that from her mother. And from you." Sophia hesitated. "The way you care for her, protect her, it's what my father did for me, until I got too busy to notice." They reached his door, and for a moment, neither spoke, the air between them charged with unspoken understanding. "Tomorrow we go through all the financial records," Ethan said finally. "If Alexander is stealing, we'll find the evidence. And if he killed my father, then we'll find that too." The breakthrough came at 3 a.m. Ethan and Sophia huddled over spreadsheets and banking records. Emma slept peacefully in the guest room, while outside, snow began to fall again. "Here," Ethan pointed to transactions flowing through a series of offshore accounts. "Alexander's been siphoning funds for years, small amounts from multiple projects, laundered through shell companies. My father must have discovered this right before he died. There's more." Ethan pulled up an email recovered from William Westbrook's archives. "Your father sent this to his lawyer the day before he died. He was changing his will to remove Alexander as backup executor and trustee." Sophia gripped the edge of the desk. He knew. Their moment of triumph was shattered by an alert from Sophia's computer. The company's network was being accessed, files deleted. "The IPO documentation," Sophia gasped. "Someone's erasing it all. Can you trace it?" Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "It's coming from inside the building, Alexander's private terminal." "He's making his move," Ethan said grimly. "If that IPO data is destroyed, what happens? Westbrook loses hundreds of millions. The board would have no choice but to postpone or cancel the public offering." Sophia's face hardened. "I'd be ruined. Everything my father built, gone in one night. Can you stop it remotely?" "Not fast enough." She grabbed her phone. "We need to get to the server room. Now." As they headed for the door, Emma appeared in the hallway, rubbing her eyes. "Dad, where are you going?" Ethan knelt to her level. "Sophia needs my help with something important. Mrs. Garcia will stay with you, okay?" Emma looked between them, her young face suddenly serious. "Be careful, Daddy. Promise?" "I promise, astronaut." Sophia watched the exchange, something shifting in her expression. "We'll be back soon, Emma. Try to sleep." In the elevator down to the server room, Sophia said quietly, "She's afraid of losing you. She's lost too much already. So have you." Sophia touched his arm briefly. "When this is over, when Alexander is exposed, I want to help clear your name. The Westbrook Foundation has connections, lawyers who can reopen your case." The offer stunned him. "Why would you do that?" "Because you saved my life, and now you're helping save my father's legacy." Her eyes met his. "And because I believe you deserve a second chance." The server room door opened with Sophia's keycard. Inside, rows of humming equipment cast blue light across their faces. A figure hunched over a terminal straightened in surprise. Kevin, the young night security guard. Ms. Westbrook, I was just checking the systems. Save it, Kevin, Sophia said coldly. We know you're accessing my files. Who authorized you? Alexander? Kevin's hand moved toward his jacket. Ethan saw the motion and lunged, tackling the younger man as he pulled out a syringe filled with clear liquid. They crashed into a server rack, Kevin fighting with desperate strength. The syringe clattered across the floor, but Kevin landed a solid blow to Ethan's jaw before scrambling for the exit. Ethan caught him at the door, pinning him against the wall with an arm across his throat. Who sent you? Kevin's eyes were wild. Mr. Westbrook pays me. He said she's unstable, going to ruin the company. Said everyone would believe it was an overdose. Call security, Ethan told Sophia. The real security. As she reached for the wall phone, the door opened. Alexander Westbrook stood framed in the doorway, immaculate in a tailored suit despite the late hour. What's going on here? His voice was perfectly controlled, concerned. Sophia, are you all right? I got an alert about server access. Kevin saw his opportunity. Mr. Westbrook, thank God. This man attacked me. Shut up, Kevin, Alexander snapped, then composed himself. Sophia, what is this ex-convict doing in our secure server room? Stopping your employee from erasing the IPO data, she replied coldly, and from injecting me with whatever's in that syringe. Alexander's expression never faltered. Kevin works for building security, not for me, and I have no idea what you're talking about. Though I am concerned about your mental state, bringing criminals into our secure areas, making wild accusations. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. Good idea, Ethan said, still restraining Kevin. They can test what's in that syringe and check Kevin's phone for communications with you. For the first time, uncertainty flashed across Alexander's face. Then his expression hardened. You won't get away with this, Reed. A convicted felon attacking our security staff? You'll be back in prison before dawn. Building security arrived, followed minutes later by NYPD. In the confusion, Kevin managed to kick the syringe under a server cabinet, out of immediate sight. Alexander smoothly took control, presenting himself as the concerned executive protecting company assets. My niece has been through a terrible trauma, he told the officers, arm around Sophia's shoulders. And I'm afraid she's being manipulated by this man who has a violent criminal record. The officers looked skeptically at Ethan. One recognized him from the bridge rescue news coverage, but Alexander's influence was palpable. Sir, we'll need you to come with us for questioning, the lead officer said to Ethan. Sophia stepped forward. If he goes, I go too, and I want my lawyers present. Alexander's smile tightened. Of course, dear. We'll sort this all out. He looked at Ethan with cold triumph. The truth always comes out, doesn't it? As they were escorted out, Ethan's thoughts turned to Emma, asleep upstairs. Once again, he tried to do the right thing. Once again, he might lose everything. 6 hours later, Ethan and Sophia walked free from the police station. The evidence against Kevin had been compelling. Officers had discovered texts on his phone linking him directly to Alexander, though they hadn't found the syringe in their initial search of the server room. Without that crucial piece of evidence, they couldn't press attempted murder charges, but Kevin remained in custody on charges of corporate espionage and unauthorized system access. I'm sorry about the syringe, Ethan said as they climbed into Sophia's waiting car. It doesn't matter. We have enough to start building a case against Alexander. Her voice was weary but determined. The police have put Kevin in isolation after those threatening texts from my uncle. He's already talking about a plea deal. When they arrived back at the Westbrook building, Emma was waiting, her small face tight with worry. She threw herself at Ethan the moment he stepped off the elevator. You promised you'd be careful, she accused, voice muffled against his chest. I was. Astronaut, we're both okay. Emma pulled back to examine them both critically. Did the bad guys go to jail? Some of them, Sophia said, kneeling to Emma's level. But we need more evidence to catch the biggest bad guy. Emma nodded solemnly. I can help. I'm good at finding things. Sophia smiled, the first genuine smile Ethan had seen from her. I believe you are. After Emma was settled with breakfast, Sophia led Ethan to her father's study, a room she'd avoided since his death. Alexander has been maintaining it as a kind of shrine, she explained, unlocking the door. I haven't had the heart to go through his things. The office was frozen in time, papers still arranged on the desk, a half-empty cup of tea long since evaporated, William Westbrook's reading glasses folded beside a financial report. I need to find anything he might have left behind, Sophia said, evidence he was collecting against Alexander. As they searched, Ethan noticed Emma hovering in the doorway, watching with curious eyes. Can I come in? She asked hesitantly. Of course, Sophia replied. Maybe you'll see something we don't. Emma wandered around the room, examining photographs and books with the careful attention of a child trying to understand an adult world. She paused at William's desk, studying his computer. Is this his computer? She asked. It's still on. Sophia rushed over. Sure enough, the computer was in sleep mode, not off. How is that possible? It's been 6 months. Alexander must keep it running, Ethan suggested. Maybe he's been searching for something too. When Sophia woke the computer, it opened to William's email, still logged in. He never signed out, she whispered, and Alexander never noticed. Emma pointed at a folder labeled Meridian, prominently displayed on the desktop. What's that? Sophia clicked on it, revealing dozens of files, financial records, research reports, and email correspondence between Westbrook Enterprises and Meridian Pharmaceuticals. My father was investigating Meridian, she said, stunned. The same company that created the drug that killed my wife, Ethan finished, and the same company I tried to expose. Emma, sensing the importance of what they'd found, slipped a USB drive from her pocket. We should make a copy, right, Dad? You always say important things need backups. Ethan stared at his daughter. Where did you get that? Mrs. Garcia let me borrow it for my science project. She handed it to Sophia. You can use it. As Sophia copied the files, Ethan examined the reports. Westbrook invested $50 million in Meridian 3 years ago, specifically in their cardiovascular drug division. The division that produced Vascurin, Sophia added, the drug Rachel was taking. And according to this, Ethan continued, pointing at the screen, Alexander pushed for the investment despite your father's reservations. He received a $2 million consulting fee from Meridian that wasn't disclosed to the board. That's why my father was investigating, Sophia said. He suspected Alexander was taking kickbacks. Emma, who had been examining William's desk, suddenly spoke up. What's inside the watch? Sophia touched her father's vintage timepiece on her wrist. What do you mean? It's too thick, Emma said with a child's practicality. My friend Jason has a spy watch from the toy store. It has a secret compartment. Sophia's eyes widened. She removed the watch and examined it closely. After a moment of searching, she found a tiny catch on the side. The watch face popped up, revealing a miniature recording device. He said it would tell me more than just the time, she whispered. I thought he was being philosophical. Ethan connected the watch to the computer. A single audio file appeared, dated the day before William's death. William Westbrook's voice filled the room. Alexander, the Meridian reports are damning. That drug should never have been approved. Alexander's voice replied, It's business, William. The side effects affect less than 2% of patients. The profits benefit our shareholders. 2% is thousands of people, Alexander. Real people with families. And you falsified research to get FDA approval. I've seen the documents you submitted. Be careful, William. You've built an empire by not asking too many questions about how money is made. I'm taking this to the board tomorrow, and the FBI. Then you're a fool. Here, drink your tea. We need to discuss this rationally. The recording ended. Sophia covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. He recorded their last conversation. He knew. Emma moved to Sophia's side, taking her hand. Your dad was trying to help people like my mom. He was a hero, too. Sophia looked from Emma to Ethan, resolve hardening in her eyes. We're taking this to the police. Right now. 3 days later, Alexander Westbrook was arrested at his penthouse, charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, embezzlement, and fraud. Kevin had turned state's evidence, providing details of Alexander's scheme to eliminate Sophia before the IPO. A forensics team had recovered the syringe from the server room, finding it contained the same cardiac stimulant compound present in William's tea. The compound matched those being researched at Meridian, a connection that opened a broader investigation into the pharmaceutical company's practices. 2 months later, the Manhattan District Attorney announced additional indictments against 3 Meridian executives for fraudulent FDA submissions and criminal negligence, resulting in numerous deaths, including Rachel Reed's. Your case is being reopened, Sophia told Ethan as they watched the news coverage together. The DA believes you were framed by Meridian when you tried to expose their cover-up. Ethan felt a strange lightness, as if a weight he'd carried for years had suddenly lifted. How long will it take? With the evidence from my father's files and the Meridian investigation? Weeks, not months. She took his hand. Soon you'll be a free man officially. I already feel free, he admitted, for the first time in 12 years. 4 months after the bridge accident, Ethan stood in a Manhattan courtroom as the judge delivered the verdict on his retrial. In light of new evidence, this court finds Ethan Reed not guilty of all charges. The record will be expunged. Beside him, Sophia squeezed his hand, while Emma bounced excitedly in the gallery. The Westbrook Foundation's legal team had worked tirelessly, presenting evidence of Meridian's criminal negligence and their framing of Ethan. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed them. Sophia handled the press with practiced ease, her arm linked with Ethan's. Mr. Reed will be joining Westbrook Enterprises as our new Director of Ethical Compliance, she announced, and the Westbrook Foundation for Second Chances will be launching next month, focusing on legal support for wrongfully convicted individuals and pharmaceutical safety advocacy. A reporter called out, Ms. Westbrook, what about the IPO? Will Westbrook still go public? Sophia shook her head. No, my father built Westbrook to last generations, not to satisfy quarterly profit expectations. We're staying private and refocusing our mission on ethical business practices and genuine social impact. Another shouted, Is it true the foundation has already helped overturn 3 wrongful convictions? Yes, Sophia replied. We've assembled a team of top legal experts dedicated to reviewing cases similar to Mr. Reed's. So far, we've helped free 3 innocent people, with dozens more cases under review. Ethan stepped forward. The justice system isn't perfect. Sometimes it takes persistence and resources to correct its mistakes. The foundation exists to provide both. Later, standing in the newly renovated foundation headquarters in Queens, not far from Ethan's old apartment, Sophia cut the ribbon while cameras flashed. She'd chosen the location deliberately, wanting to bring resources to communities that needed them most. Second chances aren't just given, she told the assembled crowd. They're earned through courage, resilience, and the willingness to stand up for what's right, even when it costs you everything. Her eyes found Ethan in the audience. Some people earn their second chance by jumping into freezing water to save a stranger. Others earn it by facing hard truths about those they love most. Emma, holding Ethan's hand, whispered, That's my dad she's talking about. Ethan squeezed her fingers. And that's our friend, our very brave friend. The penthouse felt different now. Where once it had been a showcase of wealth and isolation, it had transformed into something warmer. Emma's science projects cluttered the dining table. Ethan's books filled previously empty shelves. And Sophia, who once stood alone on the terrace contemplating the void below, now sat cross-legged on the living room floor, helping Emma build a model solar system. "Neptune is my favorite," Emma declared, painting a blue sphere. "It has the strongest winds in the whole solar system." "Like your brain," Sophia teased. "The strongest thoughts in the whole school system." Emma giggled, then grew serious. "Are you going to marry my dad?" Sophia nearly dropped her paintbrush. "Emma!" "Because I wouldn't mind. You make him smile the way he does in the pictures with Mom. And you need us." "Need you?" Emma nodded sagely. "Everyone needs a family, even billionaires." From the kitchen doorway, Ethan cleared his throat. "Dinner's ready, astronauts." His smile suggested he'd heard Emma's question. They ate pasta with homemade sauce. Ethan had insisted on cooking, despite the gourmet kitchen service available, and discussed Emma's upcoming science fair. The domesticity of it all sometimes hit Sophia with startling clarity. How quickly life could transform, empty spaces filling with unexpected joy. After Emma went to bed, Ethan and Sophia stood on the terrace where, 6 months earlier, she had stood alone questioning her existence. The city lights spread below them like fallen stars, but Sophia no longer felt disconnected from the lives they represented. "6 months ago, I stood here and wondered if anyone would notice if I disappeared," she said softly. "If anyone would care." Ethan's hand found hers. "Emma would notice. She's already picked out your Christmas present. It's only October." She plans ahead, like her dad. The night air wrapped around them, no longer threatening but comforting. Sophia touched her father's watch, now a symbol of justice rather than loss. "I keep thinking about that night on the bridge," she said. "How one moment can change everything. If you'd driven away, but I didn't. Why? You had every reason to keep driving. To protect yourself. To protect Emma." Ethan considered this, his expression thoughtful. 9 years in prison, I thought I lost everything worth having. My career, Rachel, time with Emma. I convinced myself the world was better off if I just kept my head down, stayed invisible." He looked at her. "Then you went into that river, and suddenly being invisible wasn't an option anymore. You saved me. Maybe we saved each other." Emma called from her bedroom. A glass of water, a forgotten goodnight kiss. They went to her together, no longer two separate individuals, but something new, something neither had dared imagine 6 months ago. Later, returning to the terrace, Sophia said, "The board wants to reschedule the IPO. They think Westbrook would be valued even higher now, after everything with Alexander has been exposed." "And what do you want?" She considered this. "My father built Westbrook to last, not to be carved up by shareholders who never met him. I think I want to keep it private, build something meaningful, like the foundation. Something tells me William Westbrook would approve." Sophia smiled, gazing at her father's watch. "He would have liked you. Stubborn, principled men tend to recognize each other." "Is that what I am? Stubborn and principled?" "And brave," she added. "Brave enough to jump into freezing water for a stranger. Brave enough to start over after losing everything." She moved closer. "Brave enough to let someone new into your life when it would be easier to stay closed off. And you're brave enough to trust again," Ethan replied, "to see beyond the labels society puts on people." His hand gently touched her cheek. "To build a family from broken pieces." When they kissed, it wasn't the desperate, life-saving connection of that first night on the bridge, but something slower, deeper, full of promise. A different kind of rescue altogether. In Emma's room, the model solar system gleamed with fresh paint. Neptune, Jupiter, Earth, worlds spinning in perfect harmony, finding their balance in the vastness of space, just as three once broken lives had found their balance in each other, proving that sometimes the deepest falls lead to the most unexpected landings. 6 months later, on the anniversary of William Westbrook's death, Sophia stood at his grave with Ethan and Emma beside her. She placed white roses against the headstone, then stepped back, her hand finding Ethan's. "He would be proud of you," Ethan said quietly. "Of everything you've built." "Of everything we've built," she corrected. "The foundation has helped overturn 12 wrongful convictions now. That's 12 families restored." Emma, now 9 and even more passionate about science, knelt to arrange the flowers. "And we're a family too," she said with certainty. "That's what Grandpa William would like best." Sophia's breath caught at Emma's casual use of Grandpa William, the simple acceptance of their connection, past to present, lost to renewal. That evening, as Manhattan's lights winked on beneath a darkening sky, Ethan knelt before Sophia on their terrace. The small velvet box in his hand contained not just a ring, but a promise. "We've both lost so much," he said, voice steady despite his racing heart, "and found more than we ever expected. Sophia Westbrook, will you build this family with us officially?" "Yes," she whispered, tears shining in her eyes. 1,000 times yes. As they embraced, Emma burst onto the terrace, having been secretly watching from inside. "Finally," she exclaimed, throwing her arms around them both. "I've been waiting forever." Their laughter rose into the night air, a celebration of second chances, of life after loss, of the family they'd created from the wreckage of their past lives. Sophia's voice carried softly over the sleeping city. "They say success is measured by what you achieve. But I've learned it's really measured by what you keep when you've lost everything. And sometimes losing everything is the only way to find what truly matters."